What's up YouTube, and welcome back for part 11 of the single overhead cam EJ257 hybrid build. I know it's been a little while, getting back to it slowly but surely, and by the time that we get to the end of this episode I should have a built up pipe on the car and the car running the turbo. I did go ahead and clean up the turbo, at least the compressor housing, and resprayed it black. Kind of want to get rid of the green in a bunch of places. I also have the 5 psi wastegate actuator that I had on here. I've cleaned it up and painted it as well. The up pipe that I had, so the factory style WRX or STI up pipe that I had, I've cut the flanges off of it, and already noticed that this flange hole was going to be a little bit too big for my 2-inch pipe, so I did get a 2-inch flange. But the hole spacing for the 2-inch flange may not line up perfect. I think I've got everything now. I've got some extra 2-inch stainless pipe. I've got all the elbows I think I need. So I should be able to at least position the turbo in place, kind of rest it onto the downpipe, sit the intercooler on, and have the outlet of the turbo sitting in the intercooler to hold it kind of up where it needs to be. And then I should be able to at least have this flange bolted to the bottom of the turbo. So I've got the flanges, and I've got some extra 2-inch stainless pipe, straight pipe, in case I need it. I might need a couple small sections of it. And I have my stainless elbows, which will fit perfectly into the new flange that I bought. This up pipe flange is not perfect at this point, but if we look from the underside, should be able to weld that up pretty good and at least have it all sealed up properly, and then maybe grind it flat again. Maybe put some weld from the underside, because I pretty much need that right angle turn to come right out of the turbo and go down to the header. So I'm gonna try and mock some stuff up tonight and at least get it situated in place. Possibly get my first tacks set onto the first piece and get a better idea what it needs to happen. Something else that happened, the old up pipe, I can't get the O2 sensor out of it. I got a feeling if I take it to the shop, heat up the bung with a torch, I might be able to crank that sensor out. But I don't know, I might have pretty much cross-threaded that in place, getting it tightened into place. I can't really remember, but I know the sensor's good. It's a good working sensor, and to put in a replacement, I mean, it's over $100 that I'd like to try and save. So I'll take that into work tomorrow and at least try and get the O2 sensor out of it, because I'm tired of putting all these extra monies into the car for no reason. So I can't say for sure whether I'm actually going to fire up the camera again tonight. It's been a little bit difficult for me to get back into actually taking footage of stuff, because I have been doing a bunch of side jobs that I haven't filmed at all. But I'm going to jack up the car, kind of set the turbo in place, get started on a few things, and then when I feel it's time to pull out the camera, I'm going to do that. So even welding, I'll show you guys some welding of the pipe, and this is going to go over the course of the next couple evenings probably, so I'm really hoping by this weekend I can get this video up. But you guys will find out on the day that it happens, right? So it's actually a couple days after that last clip, and I've kind of got everything mocked into place here. So you can see I've got the intercooler on. The turbo's actually in place. One of the holes on the turbo is in really bad shape with no threads left in it. So I welded a stud in the turbo, and I have a nut fastened on the other side there just to kind of bring it up to the downpipe and to get some of my positioning. So the intercooler's completely tightened, the turbo's tightened onto the intercooler, it's mounted to the downpipe, and I need to raise the downpipe just a little bit, probably about to there, and then I can start working on creating the up pipe. Now you can see this flange down here already has a section of pipe welded on the bottom of it that I already did, but it kind of needs to go in this position here, so I need to work from the bottom side and start welding in some pieces of pipe. So I got a couple short pieces of 2-inch stainless, kind of just cut to the size I thought I needed, and then I've got my elbows, So I've already kind of got this section of the up pipe welded in there, and I need to kind of put that in there, and then I'm thinking maybe a 45 something there, or maybe it was this piece. It's probably that piece, and then maybe a 45, and then maybe this guy here, and then finish it off with another 90 at the bottom up to the flanges, which will be there. So I've got quite a bit of fitting and welding. I did run into another problem. The old up pipe, I wanted to try and get my O2 sensor out of it. Well, didn't go as planned. So I took it into the shop and heated it really hot with the torch, and I started getting a lot of pressure on that O2 sensor to try and get it to loosen up, and it just finally broke the whole weld and bung and welds right off the pipe. It's garbage, and I had to order a new O2 sensor, and I just went ahead and ordered like 5 bungs so that I'll have them here. So I've got to wait for that stuff to arrive. Obviously that's not going to be done, but what I'm going to plan to do is build the up pipe, fasten it all in place so I can actually run the car, run the turbo. Obviously I'm not going to be driving it because it's not going to have any upstream O2 sensor in it, but at least I can back the car out and bring in another job while I wait for the parts. Then I'll have to basically take the up pipe back off after it's all finished, drill a hole into it, weld the bung into place, and then I'll probably take the time to paint the up pipe because it'll have a lot of welds on it, and I just don't want any of the contamination to start rusting in it. But yeah, I'm going to get back underneath. I'm going to try and prop up the downpipe just about an inch or so and start tack welding on some pieces down to the header pipe, and I'll eventually take off the up pipe, bring it over to the bench and finish all the welding on it, which I'll probably film. So yeah, I usually take the camera underneath the car with me when I'm doing this kind of stuff, but the welding and grinding has made me go through, like, I don't know, 3 GoPro cases and lenses. So I'm gonna tack everything down there, and then I'll take off the up pipe, I'll bring it back up, and I'll set the camera on the bench up high, kind of looking down at the downpipe, or at the up pipe, and finish up the welding, and so you guys can see what's going on, and then show you what the actual finished product looks like.
Starlight, it's our lives in hindsight. And as I lay here in the street, I see what I need. I need escape from this debris, carefree.
So I've got the pipe fully assembled. Not the easiest thing to do. Had a lot of big gaps to fill in just because of the shape of the pipes. The pieces of pipe that I had to put in there just weren't lining up perfectly. So the backside's got some pretty globby welds, but I mean, some of them didn't come out too bad. Would have been a lot nicer considering it's stainless. Some of them came out really nice, but I'll clean it up a little bit more. You can see the basic shape is pretty much almost identical to the old pipe. So yeah, now I'm just going to basically go about fitting it into the car, and then probably in the morning I'll just finish up there, because there's some pieces outside that I'm painting for the air intake, and then I'll button everything up and kind of figure out where the bung's going to have to go for the O2 sensor when it gets welded in, probably in the same location as where it was before. We'll probably get the car to start and run and actually get to hear what it sounds like with the sealed exhaust, and I'll probably leave the car in for now, but that's where we'll end the video. So yeah, I'll be right back, but it'll be the next day for you. So here it is the following day. I've got a lot done, and I'm getting close to being able to kind of finish up stuff so I can fire the car back up. Where I've kind of just stopped at, as you can see here in the back, I've got the up pipe completely installed, so you can kind of see it there, and it's fastened the turbo in place. I've got the down pipe up onto the turbo, and I've gone ahead and put in the wideband O2 sensor, just a new Bosch sensor, but I haven't plugged it in because I want to get some better grounding going on before I actually start using it. I've started putting the catch can plumbing together. I emptied the catch can. I've got the oil feed line installed, and I was going to get the coolant lines for the turbo hooked up, but I don't have any more of this 1/2-inch hose, and I really want to replace it. All I have is 5/8 heater hose, so gonna have to wait till the parts store opens for that. But I'm ready. I'm probably gonna set the intercooler back into place. The turbo oil return is one of the last things I have to do. I just need to trim back this hose and then basically put it on down there and clamp it back up, so that at least I'll have oil going through the turbo just for now, and then I'll do the coolant lines another time. I do want to do some better grounding, so I actually want to bring a new ground cable all the way from the battery right up to the engine, and just ground the motor a lot better, and then I can distribute ground from there, as well as leaving it hooked up in the back on the body in the back, so that the whole chassis stays well grounded. I'll take you underneath and try and give you a good look to see what it looks like underneath. So here you can kind of see the oil pan, and the UEL header comes around here, and there's the beginning of my new up pipe, and you can see how it kind of wraps around the axle there and places the turbo in that position. Lots of room past the down pipe, but the down pipe is very close to the firewall, like almost touching. I mean, there's at least a 1/4 inch room there. So I did use just this one 2-inch flange here, and then all of this is 2-inch pipe. I ended up making this with two 90 degree bends and two 45 degree bends, but one of them I trimmed up a little bit. And then, I mean, there was lots of angles and gaps to fill in with weld. That's why it's so sloppy looking up at the top here, but it's a very strongly made pipe. And after I get the bung for the upstream O2 sensor, probably going here somewhere maybe, and then so I'll have to take down the pipe, to drill a hole, weld the bung in so I can thread in the O2 sensor. And at that time I'll take the pipe, while it's down and out again, I'll paint it up, and that should help keep corrosion from building up on it. And so there you can see the 3-inch going back, and they call it stainless, but I mean, it's hard to keep this stuff from rusting, especially when you put it on a rusty car. So I'm just going to put it back on the intercooler, and I've got to start reassembling my air intake, or the turbo inlet. So I've got a couple silicone pieces, all the original stuff that was here, but I've taken all the polished aluminum pieces and sprayed them all black, and I've got to clean up a bunch of oil that's on the couplers to, you know, just clean up everything and make it nice and dry. And then I do have we're replacing this old air filter that's actually got bugs and oil and stuff falling out of it, and I've got a new filter to put on. I sprayed some clear on the ends of it, try and keep corrosion off of it, but I don't know, they always rust, so cheap China stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to get all that together, refasten it all up, and then I think we're going to be ready to turn the key and see what the exhaust sounds like. So I'm finally at the point kind of cleaned up. I think I'm ready to start it. I've got my whole air intake done. I've got the oil return cut a little bit shorter and put onto the valve cover. I'm just going to top up a little bit of coolant and cap it off because I know there's plenty in it. And then I've already got it off jack stands, so I'm going to open up the door, and hopefully there's enough juice in it to start. The battery seems to hold really well, and even though the car's been in here, I don't know, a couple weeks now, it should still fire up. I shouldn't have to boost it. So I'm going to set the camera kind of outside the door, and hopefully you can get a good audio clip of the exhaust. It seems like there's a bit of oil coming out of it, but it could just be some stuff that was left in the turbo and the rest of the exhaust. Of course, the piston cracking like that, a lot of the oil would make its way into the exhaust and collect on the pipe. It's the first time the pipe's been run since, so there's a lot of stuff to burn out of it, I think. Let's go have a listen to the motor. Motor sounds perfect. No piston noise whatsoever. and that's literally just fuel coming out of it now. I can smell all the richness in it. And of course, we have no primary O2, no upstream O2 sensor, so of course it's going to run a little excessively rich just to keep things safe. But the engine sounds good. Doesn't even sound like it has an exhaust leak, so I can't wait to drive it. So I actually just went for the first drive, backed out on the road, pulled out in first, looked in the mirror, saw a little puff of blue smoke, got to the end of the road, gave it a little shot coming back, and saw a little bit of smoke. Let it sit a little bit longer, went for a second drive, no smoke. So I think whatever was in the exhaust and in the turbo, just the oil that was collected in there from the last engine failing, I think it's pretty much burned out now. The exhaust looks nice and clear. The engine sounds awesome. So I've just got a couple little things to finish up. I've got to get some new hose so I can finish off my coolant lines. I'd like to get that ground cable going to the front of from the battery to the engine. And oh yeah, the up pipe's got to come out, so don't forget about that. I gotta, take the up pipe out, weld in a bung, and that stuff could actually arrive next week. But I've got another job to do, and one of the neighbor's vehicles I got to do. So at least I can pull the car out, pull it back in, and go one more time on it. And once I got everything fastened up, I'll get insurance, because I want it so that, if I want to go on for a trip with this car, I can just go for it and not even worry about it. I've got so many new parts and a lot of stuff's been replaced. As long as I can get around 1,000 kilometers, about 600 miles in town here, then I'll be ready for a trip. So yeah, the series dragged on a little bit. I've been really busy through the summer. I've just been doing other things, but now it's at the time that I'm pretty much finished this car. I've got a couple other small things to do. And then, like I keep on saying, yes, the 240's coming in. Before that happens, I realize we just cracked pretty much 1,200 subs here. And I still have the RB20 sitting in the exact same spot it was. So I've still got to do that. I've got to run that before actually pulling the 240 in. And so a bunch of those videos are going to be coming soon. Probably through the month of August, we'll get into the 240 stuff pretty heavy. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.